Hello and welcome to Between the Lines. Coming up on today's show, we sit down with the KU rugby team, take a look back on some sports that happened over the weekend, take a break at halftime and learn to play rugby, and finally spotlight a KU rugby player. Stay tuned. Welcome to Inside the Locker Room. I'm your host, Hunter Velke. Joining me today is Gerald Lowe and Daquan Perry of the men's rugby team. Thank you guys for sitting down with us. So besides being a Kutztown sport, the Kutztown rugby team is a Division I team that is currently ranked number 7 in the nation. What's it like playing at the highest level of a collegiate sport here in the U.S.?
I would say it's fun for the most part. It's really fun getting out there and competing with the best of the competition. And with my teammates, we all enjoy it. We thrive on it, because we want to be the best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it gives us an opportunity to showcase our talents at the highest level, and at the end of the day, we're striving for excellence in our program. That's part of our motto. So, that's just something that gives us the opportunity. We're getting a good education while we're being able to compete at the highest levels. And it really feels good taking down big names like West Point, St. Mary's, California, Cal, competing against these guys. It feels good being able to say that we're sitting around the fire with the best schools in the nation.
And beating some of them.
Now, what is the scoring? How does scoring work in rugby now? If you give me a little overview of that.
So when you run in the end zone, instead of just running in and being able to stand up and automatic count, you have to have downward pressure on the ball. Okay. Because in rugby, if you drop the ball forward, it's a knock-on, which is the other team's scrum. So you have downward pressure on the ball in the end zone, which is 5, and then you have a conversion, which is worth 2.
Yeah, so that's called a try. Then after you scored a try, it's like a field goal in football. You can kick for 2 points. And then we also have penalties. So a penalty means that you can kick full post wherever you are on the field, and that will be 3 points. Okay. So you have 3 scoring opportunities: 5 points, 2 points after the conversion of a try, and then 3 points for a penalty.
Now, what are the position breakdowns on the field when you play?
So we have 15 players on the field with a bench of 8. Usually you're only allowed to make 5 or 6 subs depending on your front row. So we have our forwards, which is usually 1 through 8. Now 1 through 3 is like your defensive and offensive line in football. There's the big boys. Then we have 4 and 5. That's usually your tall guys. That's like a tight end, pretty much.
Is 6'8".
Yeah, so we have a 6'8" fella and we have a 6'7". 6'7". Yeah. So 2 pretty big boys, and then your back row is, that's what Quan and I play, so naturally it's the best positions on the field. But, it's usually your more mobile guys that are, it's like a mixture of both. You have to be fast, but you have to be strong as well. So, and then from 9 to 15 is usually your faster guys. They're guys that can put a move on you, so I'd probably draw comparisons to like wide receivers and, punt returners.
So would you say, is there an ideal body composition to be in rugby, or is it all throughout whatever it can be and you can just play anywhere almost?
See, that's the thing. Like rugby has the ability for you to play it with whatever body composition. If you're big and strong, you can play in the forwards. If you're short and fast and you can put a move on someone, you can play in the backs.
I've seen some of the smallest people tackle the biggest guys. So we built like it's a mindset thing. You can play anywhere you want, but you got to have your mind right to play in that position. Okay. And go at it 100%.
That's pretty cool. So what does your typical practice schedule look like on a weekly basis?
So we have 4 sessions throughout the week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday we have off, Thursday practice, and then Friday we have a captain's run. Now Monday is generally fitness, so that just means that we run a lot. So you know, you come to Monday practice expecting that you're going to be tired. Then Tuesday, as we mentioned a little bit before the show, but Tuesday is contact day, so that's when people bring their hits out. You know, so if you have any chance of or any aspiration of playing on the first side, that's a day that you really want to, you know, tie up your shoes and bring your A game to practice.
Put your mouthpiece in time to play.
Yeah. So Wednesday we usually have off because Tuesday's a little taxing on the body. Yeah. So that's when individuals get time to work on skills. So there's specialist positions on a rugby field, and that's when these guys get some opportunity to work on their trade. And then Thursday is pretty much just putting everything together. We believe that like we have to build our intensity and positivity throughout the week because we wanna hit that pinnacle once we go into the weekend. So this upcoming weekend we got Penn State, so naturally it's a big game for us.
Yep. Now, what are some similarities between rugby and football?
So as we've mentioned before, I mean, we have, like in football, you have a field goal. We just call it a penalty.
Okay.
We have conversions, which you guys in football have as well. And just counts 2 points instead of 1.
We also have a 10, which is in the back line. That would be considered our quarterback. He calls all the plays. Even though it looks like we're running around out there, we're actually running around structure. He's calling a play, maybe a flood. A flood is like when the forward pack will run around and like come on a hard line to get the ball to run into your defenders or whatever team's defending.
So yeah, your number 10 is usually like your general of the field. So I could, like Quan said,
like a quarterback almost, something around there. He commands everybody, tells everybody what's going on, runs a play of some sort to get you guys.
And then the 9 is your center. He's always passing the ball.
Yeah, he's distributing it to the 10 so that the 10 can do whatever he has to do. So, and then it's pretty much the same when it comes to if you can say that rugby is like football without downs. So it's just continuous. You know, the field of play just moves forward. We don't have to reach 10 yards to get a new set of downs. It's continuous, but because it's continuous, it's taxing on stamina and on strength because you have to move yourself around continuously for 40 minutes. You know.
And that's 2 halves you play?
Yeah, 2 halves. Okay. 40 minutes a half.
Now, do you guys ever see rugby becoming as big as football in the U.S. like it is nowadays?
I think I could give you some more insight on this. I think that football is ingrained in U.S. culture. You know, it's an American sport. There's nothing. There's very few things that's more American like it than it. You know, so I don't think that it would reach the levels that football has reached in the US, but I do think that it has potential to become like the MLS. You know, something as big as soccer is in the US, but I don't think that it will be able to trump football.
Now, Joe, you're an international student. What's it like coming here and coming to a different country and playing rugby and stuff like this here?
I've had a great time. I guess it depends on what you're coming here for, you know. I came here for a good education while playing rugby at the highest level and just being able to, you know, explore myself and become the best individual that I could be. You know, one thing that I found is that American universities are a lot more resourceful and student-oriented than universities are back home. So it gives you an opportunity to become a more full individual, you know. I get the opportunity to interact with admin on campus, you know, with a dean of students. I get the opportunity to build a brand, essentially. And while I'm doing that, I get the opportunity to pursue a degree while I'm playing rugby at the highest level. So I think that for the purpose that I came here, I've been loving it so far, and it's just been the opportunities that have been thrown my way is crazy, you know. I have to admit that I thought the US was a lot smaller than I first thought when I came over here. So I was a bit surprised seeing that it's like a 5-hour flight to go to the West Coast.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but another thing that's really cool about rugby, especially Kutztown, is we travel a lot.
Yeah, you should see it. We travel.
Yeah, so we've traveled to Bermuda, we've traveled to
Vegas.
I've traveled to California this past summer playing rugby.
That's really cool.
Niagara Falls, we played out there.
Well, unfortunately, guys, that's all the time we have this week. We'll be back after this short commercial break.
My name is Anna Marie Benavenia. I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I couldn't wrap my brain around that I had cancer because I always thought you were going to die. People think it's going to go away on its own, and it'll never happen. Are you aware?
Hello, welcome back to this new edition of Halftime. I'm your host, Brady Weaver. Today on the show, we have Daquan Perry and Gerald Lowe. They're trying to teach me how to play some rugby. Let's see how that goes. All right, so first off, Daquan is going to teach me how to do some passing drills. How are you trying to teach me today?
At first, I'm going to teach you the basic fundamentals of passing because, as you know, in rugby, we pass the ball backwards, unlike football where they pass it forward. So at first, I'm going to teach you, your hand's going to go on the back end of the ball, and your other hand is basically like a guide hand, like in basketball. If you're shooting a jumper, it's just here for guidance, and your back arm's going to be back at the ball, and then you pull it back, like you're putting in the holster, you edge your guide hand, and then when you throw, you release. And this hand is your power, this hand is strictly for guidance, to get it where you want it to go.
All right, that's a lot of information. Let's see if it works. Here we go. As you can see, I'm already turning into a beast of a rugby player. And then, it's only my first time ever doing it. But sadly, there's more to the rugby than just passing, isn't that right?
That's right. So, passing is one dimension of the game, but I'm going to teach you how to score some points.
All right.
So, what we'll be doing today is the equivalent of a field goal in football. We just call it a drop goal in rugby. So, if you kick the ball and it goes through the post, that means that you get 3 points added to your team's total. Okay. So, in football, you usually have a specialist team that come up when they take field goals. So in rugby, anyone can pretty much take a drop goal if they want to. Okay. So the dynamics of it is the ball has to drop on the ground before you kick it. Okay, so in essence, what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and align this seam with the inside post. Right, Mother Nature's making it a little hard for us today because we've got a little bit of a wind. So I'm going to try and align it with the inside post. I'm going to keep my head down and look at how my foot makes contact with the ball. Okay? So don't look up to where you're kicking. Keep your head down to where your foot makes contact with the ball and then follow through with your foot. Okay?
Wow. All right, let's try it. So now we're going to do one final test to see which one of us has the best accuracy.
What we're doing next is if the ball goes into touch, we have to throw it in to compete for it. It's called the line out. So the guy that does that is usually your number 2 or the hooker.
Okay.
So it's pretty much like a football pass. So as a quarterback would pass it, but you're using both hands.
The only time you're allowed to throw it forward.
Yeah, this is the only time you're allowed to throw it forward. So you're not just using one hand, you're using both hands. Again, same principle as the passing. The back hand's the driver, the front hand's just there for accuracy.
All right.
So what we'll be doing today is each one of us will get 3 attempts. We'll try and throw it through that hoop over there. And whoever gets the most out of 3, he's the victor.
All right, let's get to work. So I want to give a huge shout out to Gerald and Daquan for coming out and teaching me a new sport in rugby. Just another one of those sports I can add to my resume. Hopefully next semester I'll be able to come out and join you guys on the team.
Of course.
Sounds good, man. Thanks for having us.
Of course. This has been Brady Weaver with your new episode of Halftime. Thanks for watching.
See you guys later.
Love KU sports but can't keep up with the games at work? Well, look no further. KU TV posts live updates on your favorite Kutztown sports to the KU TV Sports Twitter page. Even catch a live halftime show featuring Mike Iannacci, Tyler Trumbauer, and Josh Mastramato. Never miss a game again. Stay updated through either watching KU TV when we go live for games or through the Twitter page KU TV Sports.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Weekend Update. I'm your host, Stephen Weiss.
And I'm Hunter Veliky.
And as always, we have a lot of Kutztown sports action to get into, so let's jump right into it with football. Went on the road again to Bloomsburg and picked up the win 27-12, improving their record to 5-0. 5 games up now, 5 games down, all in the W column.
Now this one for them was the 12th in a row on the road for the Golden Bears. 5-0 overall, 2-0 in the PSAC East, and is the 3rd longest streak in NCAA Division II history.
Kutztown has scored 20-plus points in every game since October 28th, 2017, 2 years ago now, almost. A stretch of 18 games, just an impressive streak. We talk a lot about Colin DeGalbo and the impressiveness of the offense, but the defense showed here that they can step up when they need to, and only allowing Bloomsburg, the Huskies, to score 12 points.
And you already touched on Colin DeGalbo, but he was in his typical form on Saturday. He finished the day 19 of 27 with a 70.4% pass rating with 190 yards and 3 touchdowns to 3 different wide receivers throughout the day, too. And Karen Harvin capped the KU scoring on the ground, too.
Yeah, so like you said, all 3 different receivers, Abdul Hassan Neblet, Diego Torres, Jake Novak, and like you said, Keegan Harvin, all capped the KU scoring on the ground as well. A big game coming up this coming Saturday. Back home finally after 2 weeks on the road. Saturday, October 12th, 12:05 p.m. versus East Stroudsburg. They're undefeated, so this is a big game. Both teams 5-0. The pressure is on. And East Stroudsburg has won 3 of those games on the road. So they're a very good team. It's going to be an incredible matchup, going to be a tough and exciting game. It is pink zone, so if you are going out to the game, make sure you're wearing pink in support of breast cancer awareness all month, all October. And if you can't make it out to Andre Reed Stadium for that game, guess where you can catch it? Right here on KU TV. Now, moving along to women's field hockey, bunch of games this week. We have 3 games to get into. Including a win at Bloomsburg, which was 3-2, went into overtime. A win at Seton Hall win at home against Seton Hall, 6-0, shut them out, and then also a game against East Stroudsburg. So if we want to get into the Bloomsburg game.
So to start off, Bloomsburg built a 2-0 lead in less than 21 minutes into the contest. Rachel Dunsman kept Kutztown going for going down the half multiple times goals, and she scored off the pass from Molly Bobjack with 24 seconds remaining in the second quarter.
So that was all the scoring, I believe, for that first half. And the Maroon and Gold came out and really turned up the pressure after falling behind over the final 3 quarters in overtime. KU outshot the Huskies 15-1. Kutztown finished with a 20-5 advantage and took 11 quarters to Bloom's 0.
Yeah, Kara Wazinski intercepted a clearing attempt from the Huskies and slapped a shot by Bloom's goaltender for the team-leading 8th goal of the year for her, too.
And Wozniak's goal sent the game into OT, even though Kutztown continued towards the end of the game to bring that pressure, just couldn't get those shots to go in, firing 3 shots after that equalizer by Wozniak.
And Dunsmack, knack for drama, was on display again in her second overtime winning goal this season.
Yeah, so a great win, and then came back home from being on the road at Bloomsburg to face Seton Hill. an incredible performance by the offense and defense. They shut them out. 6 different players scored for the 5th-ranked Kutztown, including seniors Rose Moore and Kyra Wozniak, as the Golden Bears celebrated Senior Day. It was Senior Day that Saturday with a 6-0 shutout over Seton Hill on Saturday at Andre Reed Stadium.
It took just 56 seconds for Kutztown to put up the first step forward on it to a 3-0 in the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference. Rachel Dunsman scored from down low to put the Golden Bears in front.
And then there was no scoring for the rest of the first 2 quarters, but the floodgates really opened up in the third, however, as the Golden Bears found the back of the cage 3 times in the span of 6 minutes and 11 seconds.
Alyssa Donato ripped a shot past Gorginski for her 5th goal of the season at 31:54. Wisniewski followed with a backhander, top shelf at 34-12, and Molly Bobjack and Brianna Crayley for a goal at 38:05. That made it 4-0.
And then freshman Abby Thorius scored 21 seconds into the 4th quarter, and senior Rose Moore pushed a pass from Dustman in right at the goal line to cap the scoring. Carrie Hanshaw also made her first start of the season in the cage for KU and stopped 2 shots for her 2nd career shutout. And then they had a game against East Stroudsburg. Unfortunately, they suffered a loss. 2 quick early goals there at the beginning of the game and just couldn't get the rest of their offensive opportunities to go in. But their next game is at Shippensburg. They're heading out there to Ship in another rematch on Saturday, October 12th at 1 p.m. Now, moving on to women's soccer. A couple games this week as well. Faced a loss here, 2-0 at here at Keystone Field against Bloomsburg. They saw. I mean, it was difficult that game. I had the fortunate ability to be able to see that game. Started raining in the second half, so I don't think that probably made it any easier on the play.
Not, no.
Yeah, you definitely saw that affect their play. Just 2 goals for Bloomsburg, but then came back against Mansfield, and the offense broke free.
Yep, they had a big 6-0 win at Keystone Field, which was, I believe, the first win on that field.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we were not there to cover that game, so we did not see it, unfortunately. And then they went on. It was a good game.
Yeah, oh yeah. So finally, after that game, they were back to 500. Just a clean slate here for the women's soccer team. Hopefully now that they have that game in their belt, because then their next game is against Lock Haven, who I think that they're going to be able to go against them and pick up yet another win. And could be an easy win for the team, like I said, and they're looking to keep that winning atmosphere alive in the locker room and on the field. Even after that Bloomsburg game, they kept their chins up, and you see that by them picking up that next win. But that is all the time that we have for you here on this week's edition of Weekend Update. Stay tuned for more Between the Lines.
Want some new KU merch? Keep your eyes on the ball. Every Monday after a home football game, you get an additional 5% off all Kutztown apparel at the KU campus store for every touchdown we score, starting at 15%. Win or lose. That's 15, 20, 25, all the way up to 40% off all Kutztown apparel. The sale can be used in-store or on the website, kubstore.com.
My name is Riley Walter. I am an international sophomore student here at Kutztown University, and I'm from Johannesburg, South Africa. And I came to Kutztown because I ultimately want to achieve an internationally recognized computer science degree, a mathematics minor, and to ultimately play the sport that I love, which is rugby. I'm quite an outgoing person, and it makes me quite adventurous as well. And I think without that, I wouldn't have made the transition from South Africa to the United States. It takes quite a lot from a person to get into that sort of mindset, and it's really helped me along the way. In the rugby field, I like to play scrum half, which is the number 9 position out of the possible 15 on the field. They're often stereotyped as the smaller person, as you can see. However, they are also tended to be the general on the field, and they like to manage the players accordingly. Kutztown offered a really good program, both on the rugby field and in the classroom, with the major that I wanted to study and for it to be internationally recognized, not just in South Africa, not just in the United States, but all over the world, it opened a lot more doors than it would for me going anywhere else. And they offered me the best deal to come here and to learn the person who I actually want to be one day. My favorite rugby moments is probably scoring my first try for Kutztown. It's very cliche where someone gives you the ball and you just sort of dive over the line, but that very moment, and it can be said in all sorts of sports, where you win your first tennis match or you score your first touchdown, it's really something special when you can do that on a rugby field as well. So what I like to do in my free time is to spend time with myself. I like to reflect on what I've done over the past couple of years, especially trying to better myself as a person, because I like to do better by others and I want to be better for myself. I like to take the time to read, to catch up on anything that I need to become more organized and to just get involved and become more social where I can. If I couldn't play rugby, I would probably play soccer, or I would play something back home known as cricket. It's not as common as it is here, but it's quite a cool sport to play. I do have a game day ritual. I wear motivational quotes on my wrist. I never take them off. They're on my wrist as I speak right now, actually. Yeah, there's 3 on this side, 2 on this side. And I read those every day, and that is my motivation. I also like to strap my wrist and write, or I dedicate something to whatever I write on my wrist, whether it be my family, a person that I feel that I should dedicate it to, and I go out and I play for whatever's written on my wrist. The thing I dislike most about America is probably the emotional aspect that's brought into the game that I love so much. Coming from a place where you played the game since you were 6 or 7 years old, to looking at the maturity and how far the game has come. Transitioning here, it's very difficult to see that that emotional side of things is still carried through even into a college level, and it tends to disrupt a player's game. When you're trying to better yourself on the field and it's not really going according to plan because of the emotional side, it gets pretty frustrating, and I just wish that people would cast that out. My accent, it definitely helps with the ladies. I think the only difficult thing is trying to find something to say to them first so that they can hear it.
Hi, this is Madison Empey, and welcome to another week of Kutztown Top Highlights. We have some women's soccer action this week, as the Golden Bears played host to the Bloomsburg Huskies. Up first, we have Kutztown captain Emily Swearikin with the early goal, but it is unfortunately called back as she offsides. Here we have Kayla Argan with a corner kick that takes a nice spin, but is booted away by Bloomsburg's defense. Here's Kayla Argan again, with a shot on goal that falls short. Kayla Argan in the mix again with a penalty kick on goal. Maddie Moore chimes in with a corner kick, but it's stopped by Bloomsburg's Jenna Hawkins. Kutztown's Jenna Bracken has an excellent defensive stand here, and then again as she makes a diving save. Emily Swearikin is at it again, attempting to get a shot off. Jenna Bracken with a leaving save in the left-hand corner here. Despite the Golden Bears' best effort, they fell to the Bloomsburg Huskies 2-0. They fell to 3-4 after this matchup. Team leaders included Emily Swearikin with 3 shots on goal and Kayla Argan with 2. That's it for these highlights. I'm Madison Empey, and as always, go Golden Bears.
All right, and here we have the Kutztown game against Gannon. Here we have a very strong attempt to return this spike from Gannon University by number 13. And here Kutztown fights back with a lob over the net. And here number 11 lobs up a solid setup for number 19, who smacks it right to the back corner, just in bounds. And here Kutztown's spike apparently gets blocked, unfortunately, by Gannon. Kutztown returns the favor to Gannon and blocks their spike immediately afterwards.
Well, that's all the time we have for this week. Don't forget to tune in next week when we sit down with the women's volleyball team. Remember, outside the lines, you only get the scores. But here, at Between the Lines, we get you inside the locker room.